What I'd like to do is to close with some hints and tips that will help you construct and deliver your pitch. The first one I'd like to talk about is Lean Canvas and Business Model Canvas. If you use those tools to help you with your business strategy, they are great for that purpose, but they're not very good at being able to construct a pitch. So what I've done is I've mapped Artful Science of Pitching to Lean Canvas and Business Model Canvas to help you figure out, if you've done work in certain areas, how do you translate that over to Artful Science of Pitching. The second thing is you have to answer the big question in your pitch. If you're a two-sided market, for example, you have to answer in your pitch somewhere which side of the market you're focusing on and how does that attract the other side of the market. If you're in the social platform space, then it's very important to figure out how you get to very large numbers of users as quickly as possible. You may not get 1 million users in your first year, but you definitely need to be able to show a path to how you're going to get your first 1 million users, your second 1 million users, and your 10 millionth user. If you have a manufacturing business and you're physically manufacturing a product, then you need to be able to talk about where are you manufacturing that product, how are you going to manage the quality, how are you protecting your IP, are there licensing deals that are associated with this, and your bill of materials for your product. If you're in the pharma space or medical device space, the question you have to answer is, do you need regulatory approval? If you think you do not need regulatory approval, then you need to be able to cite why you believe that. Who was the authority that you talked to and what's their experience in your space to be able to give you the comfort that you don't need regulatory approval. Are you a SaaS business? You need to be able to demonstrate how well you understand SaaS. You need to be talking the SaaS language in your pitch. You need to be talking about LTV, about CAC, about churn, about negative churn. You need to be able to be prepared to answer questions from likely very knowledgeable SaaS investors. If you're a social impact business, you need to make sure that your message is very clear, because there's far fewer investors that are interested in social impact businesses than there are in regular for-profit businesses. Are you a B2C kind of business? Are you selling to consumers? If you are, what is your marketing strategy? Are you using SEO? Are you using traditional methods? How are you going to reach the millions of people that you ultimately need to reach with your product? Please, please, please make sure you answer those in your pitch rather than wait for the questions in Q&A. If you wait for the questions in Q&A, the investors are going to wonder why you didn't talk about it in the main part of your pitch, because after all, they are the big questions. The third tip is every time you pitch, you have two pitches. There's the mainstream pitch that you're pitching, but there is also your Q&A pitch. When you're getting ready for Q&A, you should be practicing and rehearsing answers to all the tough questions in advance. You want to be able to answer most questions with a yes or a no, maybe one or two statements that support it, and then button it. If the room goes silent, that's okay. The moderator of the room will fill that air with the next question or a comment. What you're trying to avoid is far too much information and far too many things that go way beyond what the question asked. The next tip is a request. Beware of traps like a picture is worth 1,000 words. The problem is if your audience is starting to think through 1,000 words while you're speaking, they're no longer listening to you. Next one is what I call pitch alignment. There's 3 kinds of pitch alignment that I encourage people to think about. There's vertical, diagonal, and horizontal. Vertical means that when you look at your slide, the content of the slide from top to bottom is in alignment. Diagonal alignment is making sure that the script, the verbal script that you're delivering, and the screen that is up there in front of investors is in sync. The last one is horizontal alignment. This means that your pitch flows naturally from subject to subject. What I like to do, and this goes back to my consulting days, what I like to do when I'm developing a pitch is I will print that pitch out and I will paste it up on the wall or lay it out on a big table or lay it out on the floor, wherever I have enough room to be able to put my pitch down end to end. And then literally I will walk along the pitch, saying the pitch to myself and seeing if it flows naturally. You can't quite do this online. It just doesn't have the same feel. You have to have that physical pitch in front of you. Once you're comfortable with that pitch, then grab somebody else and say, let me just walk you through this pitch. And now you're literally walking them through the pitch, letting them see the slide that came before, letting them see the slide that came after, and they will tell you what makes sense and what doesn't. Another hint is set up for successful due diligence. Here, I mean, don't be too hyperbolic about your pitch. Yes, we want to be very excited. Yes, we want to be able to attract interest and get that next meeting, but we need to be very, very careful that we're not saying things that we have to walk back in the first due diligence meeting. Don't hide your gaps. If you've got gaps on the team, talk about them. After all, we're raising money to close them. When you go into your due diligence meeting, don't be unprepared. And whether it's Q&A during your pitch or in your due diligence, just be very careful that you're not over answering the questions. The last one that I want to talk about is you and your ecosystem. Keep in mind that when you're talking to investors in your ecosystem, the likelihood that they know each other for other reasons is very, very high. Now, they may not share the very sensitive things that you share with investors, but they will talk in generalities about what they heard from you and how you pitched. And geez, this is the message that I heard. And you want to make sure that you're delivering the same message to all these people all the time. And when that message has to change, and sometimes it does over time, you need to be able to manage very carefully how that change gets implemented in your ecosystem. When I say implemented, I'm talking about how you communicate that to people. So with that, I look forward to seeing you out there. Good fundraising, good pitching, and good luck. Thank you.